to the dice tower.
And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
The recent Winter Olympics, I guess they haven't been that recent, but the last Winter Olympics, we saw one of the Korean athletes win the gold medal for figure skating. So it's not a big surprise that they made a game that has a figure that looks very similar to her, and it's about figure skating, and in fact the Korean skater in here is the best one in the game. This is from Peacecraft. They make board games. That's their motto. It's a game for 2 to 5 players, and it's about taking your ice skater, your figure skater, on some routines and trying to score the most points. I give it much props for a very good original theme. I'm not sure I've played any game that does this exactly. It has a bit of a push your luck aspect to it, and just there's some dice rolling in it also, which of course I like dice. Let's look at it, and then we'll tell you, is it a good game or not? Alright, unplug those lights.
That's it?
At the beginning of the game, each player is going to take one of the ice skaters. It shows what country they're from, which isn't that important, but shows a value in how good they are at jumps, spins, and sequences. It also gives a score that they have. That score is used in the game. It doesn't make a big difference, but it kind of gives an advantage to some of those who don't have as good of scores as other people. I think the Korean skater is probably the best skater in the game, but that's no surprise. Definitely the best jumper. So anyway, these are the scores that players will have on their card. So they'll take that card and put it in front of them. Then the game is split into 2 rounds. There's the short program and the long program. And in each program, players are going to randomly draw a finishing spin and a starting jump from 2 different piles. So here's your starting jump and here's your finishing spin. Players are then going to be dealt 10 cards from this deck. Now this deck has spins and jumps and sequences. You can see the different colors, different shapes, and numbers on each of these. Now on a player's turn, there's going to be basically a round that started, and a player will place one of the cards from their hand onto one of these columns on the board. The number of columns that's used is equal to the number of players. If only 2 players are playing, there's a dummy player that randomly puts out cards. But you put out a card in a column, or you take your ice skating color token. You have this plus this one to show that that's your color. And you can claim all the cards in a column. Now we're going to fill that up. You're going to get 3 cards. So you have to decide whether you want to go in early to get the cards you want, or you want to put out cards first and wait and see. You know, if this is early, other people may give you cards that you necessarily don't want. But as cards are put into different columns and the different players are claiming them, eventually all the columns are filled up. Players will take the 3 cards that they have gotten, and then another round begins. And in the first half of the game, the short program, you want 6 cards total. So let's say in this first program that these are the 6 cards I got. In fact, I might as well just tell you now that the second program is the same thing, except there's 9 cards. Now in this first program, I look at the requirements for this, and I need 3 jumps. Okay, so I look at my program here, and we're going to put them in order so that this spin is last, because that is the final spin. I need 3 jumps. I have 4, so my last jump does not count. I get no points for that one. I needed 2 sequences. Okay, I got that, and I needed 3 spins. I only got 2. Should have got a 3rd spin. So I was pretty close. It's just that I messed up by having that extra jump. Then, and this is where the rules are going to differentiate in the basic and in the advanced game. In the basic game, we only care about jumps, because some jumps are dangerous. If you'll notice, this jump here on the side here has a number in yellow, a 7. I need to roll a die. I will add that die to my jumping. So this jumper here is a jump power 4. I roll 4 plus 3. That equals 7. I'm fine. Had I rolled less than that, then the jump would have fallen, which would, instead of being worth 11 points, I would have turned it sideways here to show that now it's only worth 7 points. Also, the spin that happened directly after this jump no longer counts. And so in the basic game, I simply, for each round of the game, and there's 2 of them, after we do all those jumps, I add up all the points on all the cards and add the score that's on my skating card, this PCS scored, and you lose a point for each card you have face down, and whoever has the most points is the winner after 2 different rounds. In the advanced game, it's a little bit different. Players will be rolling a die for a group of cards. Like they'll put these 3 cards together, they roll 1 die, they'll add that die to each of their skills on their card, and if it meets or exceeds that number, if it exceeds the number, then you get bonus points. If it's lower than the number, then you lose points. And if it's really lower than the number, like with the jumps, then you fall, just like I showed you. And so you'll go through each group of cards, and there's a score sheet included with the game where you can write down each move of the game and how many points you gained or lost because you've exceeded or met the skill. Then you have all these different scores from the panel. You'll add them together for 2 rounds until you get your final score. And in this game, the one skater got a 207 and the other skater got a 232. So the game is basically a mix of 2 different things. It's a mix of trying to get these cards in the right order with a little bit of luck from the die rolling, and then also this grabbing cards here in the middle. Figure Grand Prix is an interesting game. Let's talk about scoring first. I think that the advanced scoring is much better than the basic scoring because it really takes into play what cards you want. You might want the lower score cards because you know you can easily get them and even get bonus points for doing them great. But getting the higher score cards done will get you more points anyway. So it's very interesting. There's a lot that comes to rest on that die roll that you roll, but I don't care. The drafting part where you try to get cards reminds me a bit of Coloretto or Azuleretto. Has a kind of similar mechanic to that. Overall, I was impressed. It was a very simple, fun little game, which did seem to do a good job at bringing across its theme. What did you think?
I thought it was really fun because it reminded me of one figure skating Olympic show I watched on TV. And it was also really fun because I won.
Oh, always with the winning.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.